Every year, when India's union budget is announced, one topic quietly makes to the headlines: nuclear energy. At the same time, India is building record renewable energy. Electricity prices from renewable sources is coming down drastically, and clean energy is making headlines. So the obvious question is, why does nuclear power still matters in India's energy transition? To answer that, we need to stop looking at individual technologies. Rather, we should look at a system level on how India's power system actually works. Hi, my name is Manjush. I work in the energy industry. On this channel, I explain India's energy stories. What is happening, why is it happening, and what to expect next. Let's get started. India's energy transition is not about choosing one perfect source of electricity. Rather, it is about building a system that provides electricity for every hour of the day and at a scale that no other country has ever attempted. And nuclear power plays a very critical role in this ecosystem. Let's break it down. There is a common misconception that always arises in the energy debates: renewable energy or nuclear power. But this is a false choice. Electricity doesn't run on ideology, it runs on physics. The grid needs three things all the time. Number one, enough power. Number two, stable frequency and voltage. And number three, balance the demand and supply scenarios all the time. Solar and wind are perfect when it comes to providing cleaner source of power, but they are very intermittent. They depend on weather conditions to produce electricity. But nuclear power does something different. It generates electricity all the time, every second of the day, whether sun is shining or wind is blowing. It doesn't matter whether there is a perfect weather condition out there. And that difference matters more than most discussions admit. Let's talk about the real benefits that nuclear power offers. First, high capacity factor. Nuclear power plants operate at 70 to 90% of the maximum output throughout the year, which means when nuclear power plants are built, they are used at almost the capacity at which they are built. Second, predictability. This allows for grid operators to plan around the nuclear power generation, which means planning months in advance. This reduces stress on the overall system. And number three, footprint. Nuclear power plants require a very low land footprint compared to the renewables like solar and wind. And in a country like India, where the land and the population density really matters, the nuclear power plants offer a great advantage. But none of this means nuclear power plants are perfect in all aspects. And this is where most of the discussions really stop. Nuclear power plants come with some serious challenges. Number one, high capital cost. To build these plants, it requires a huge capital investment. Number two, long construction period. From planning to the commissioning, nuclear power plants take a long timeline, usually a decade or more, which means it is very difficult for a quick capital addition in the case of nuclear power plants. Number three, regulatory and safety aspects. When it comes to nuclear power plants, safety, land acquisition, and the acceptance from public really plays a key role. And number four is the flexibility. Unlike gas or hydro, which can be ramped up or ramped down in a very quick time period, nuclear power plants cannot follow such quick responses. So when we look at all these 4 points, it shows that nuclear power plants cannot do everything that is required for us. But in the first place, they are not meant to do everything. To understand why nuclear power really matters in the India's energy story, we need to look at India's specific case. In India, the electricity demand peaks in the evening time. This is when the solar output drops, the household demand rises, and industrial demand continues to be there. And today, coal fills this gap, but coal power plants come with their own challenges: pollution, CO2 emissions, as well as import dependence in some regions. Renewables can solve this problem to some extent, but not fully, because batteries help, but they add cost. Transmission helps, but it cannot store the energy. Nuclear power plants fills this gap by providing stable electricity source which acts as a base load, which is also a clean power. This is not as a replacement for renewable electricity, but it is to complement the renewable generation. This is why, despite the slow progress and challenges, India keeps coming back to the nuclear energy during the policy discussions. Not because it is perfect, not because it is trendy, but when you look at a system level, it perfectly fits into the overall energy system by solving specific part of the puzzle, where it can provide a stable, clean source of power which acts as a base load, and this allows for reducing the pressure on coal. It supports grid by providing power when solar is not available, and it does so without adding any emissions to the atmosphere. The role is limited, but it is quite important. Nuclear power is not a silver bullet, it's not a replacement for renewable energy, or it is not a quick solution to the India's energy needs. India's energy transition will not be won by one single technology, rather won by a system that comprises technologies such as renewables, storage, transmission, efficiency, and yes, nuclear power as well. India's energy transition is not a switch of a button, but rather it is a stacking of multiple imperfect solutions that allow for solving and being complementary to one another to solve India's energy transition. So, nuclear power doesn't dominate the story, but rather it supports this story. And that's why during the era of renewable energies like solar and wind, nuclear power also takes the role in supporting India's energy transition. If you are interested in understanding more about how India is trying to balance across affordability, reliability, and sustainability, which is energy trilemma, this is the channel that gives an overview about what is happening, why is it happening, and what to expect next in the India's energy ecosystem. That is India's energy story. Thank you for watching.